I decided to take a break from my job and spent countless hours each evening organizing a surprise celebration for my wife's 40th birthday. I tracked down her childhood friends, hired a personal chef, and secured a stunning venue. The night before the event, I stumbled upon a group chat where she had written, "He's such a pathetic fool. It's truly appalling. Does this loser genuinely believe a silly party will make me forget how worthless and dull he is? Being with him is the biggest blunder of my life. I can't even stand to look at his foolish face anymore." Her friends encouraged her, calling me a joke and a doormat, laughing about my desperation. I simply smiled, closed my laptop, and devised a plan. Yesterday, my wife called me 15 times, pleading for me to reverse my actions. So, let's rewind to a few weeks ago on an unusual Tuesday night when Melissa, my wife, who is now 40, and I, Griffin, 38, were grabbing tacos after her workout. She was scrolling through her phone while I was placing the order and casually remarked, "Some people get overly excited about milestone birthdays. It's almost pathetic." I assumed she was referring to a friend's husband who rented a karaoke bus for his wife, so I brushed it off, but I recall thinking, that's a bit harsh, even for her. She has always enjoyed poking fun at those who try too hard, but recently it feels like I can't do anything right. Perhaps I should have anticipated this. Regardless, I had been planning the entire surprise party for months. I won't lie, it was a lot of work. I tracked down her old friends from a badminton club she used to mention, not even on Facebook. I had to reach out to her sister Isabella, who is actually supportive and helped me out. I hired a private chef who specializes in pop-up dinners since Melissa has been on a vegan diet and is quite particular about her food. I even took time off work, which is a chaotic situation on its own, but I was managing the venue, group chat with her family, and keeping her schedule free. I thought I was being clever, and honestly, I was somewhat proud of myself. However, in the last few weeks, she has been increasingly distant. She would come home late, often claiming it was work drinks or catching up with Mira, and then she would go straight to her phone or iPad, barely acknowledging me. She made little comments like, "Did you remember to buy oat milk?" Or, "Are you sure you can handle dinner tonight?" Maybe I'm being overly sensitive, but it felt like she was checked out, neither angry nor upset, just done. She even forgot our anniversary for the first time ever, and when I brought it up, she responded with, "Oh right, sorry, I was busy." So, last Friday, the evening before her party, I was in our bedroom trying to compile a Spotify playlist of her favorite old songs, and her laptop was open on the bed. I swear I wasn't snooping, but her messages kept appearing in the corner of the screen, and I saw my name, Griffin, so I clicked. I assumed it might be her sister or something. Nope, it was a group chat called The Real Ones, and it included Melissa, her best friend from college who has never liked me, Mira, and a few others I barely know. I started reading, and honestly, I wish I hadn't. She was going off, not just venting, but outright mocking me, calling me pathetic and desperate, labeling me a doormat, saying I was disgusting for trying to throw this party. She claimed I was boring and that she couldn't bear to look at me, and her friends were piling on, asking, "Why are you still with him? He's such a joke. You deserve better." They laughed about how I probably thought this party would solve everything. And Aubrey mentioned, "I'll probably cry if anyone gives a speech." Mira added, "He's like a lost puppy. It's brutal." It continued for a while, and I scrolled back through weeks of this, not just about me, but it seems she's been annoyed with me for years, thinking I'm holding her back. Too safe, too easy. I guess I always knew she liked to vent to her friends, but seeing it written down was different. It felt like they were trying to one-up each other. The crazy part is she never speaks to me like that. Always side comments, but never directly. I should also mention I'm not surprised about Aubrey. She's always had it out for me, probably because I called her out for being snobbish at our wedding. She's been waiting for Melissa to break up with me, and I swear Mira is just a follower. Seeing Melissa say those things about how being with me was her biggest mistake hit hard. I sat there, feeling numb and then angry. I closed the laptop without saying a word and walked downstairs. She was in the living room watching some reality show and didn't even glance at me when I entered. I watched her for a moment, thinking, how long has she felt this way? Why not just say something? Why go through all this if you despise me? I was confused. It wasn't sadness. It felt like a switch flipped. I went back upstairs and started cancelling everything. The chef, the venue, losing most of the deposit, but I didn't care. I told Isabella to hold on. I'd explain later. I didn't want her caught up in this mess. I texted several people to inform them that plans had changed and not to show up at the venue. I exited the group chat with her family, apologizing for the late notice and declaring the party off. Then I began to think, why should I be the one to save face for her? Why should I cover for her and help her save face in front of those who she wants to mock me to in her group chat? Fine, she can clown me, but I'm not going to pretend everything's fine while she is tearing me down to everyone she knows. So, I started devising a new plan, and it felt good to have something to focus on. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying moments in my head, times I thought things were fine, and realized she just doesn't respect me. That realization stung, but it also made it easy to decide what to do next. I wasn't going to let her take another shot at me, not in public, not anywhere, not even let her friends laugh at me behind my back. The next morning, I woke up before her, packed a bag, and left without a note. I simply texted Isabella, saying I'd explain soon, and turned off my phone for most of the day. I started putting together the rest of my plan, but that's for later. Let's just say it won't be a pleasant birthday for her or her little crew. I don't know if anyone will read this, but that's where I am. Not seeking advice, just needed to express this. Part of me feels sick, but another feels like I'm finally pushing back. I'm not a doormat anymore. Update 1. Things escalated quickly after I left that morning. I stayed at my brother Everett's place. Not that I got much sleep. His futon is uncomfortable, and his dog kept trying to lie on my legs all night. Oddly, comforting though. I kept my phone off until around noon. When I turned it on, I had 3 missed calls from Isabella and 2 texts from my mum, who thought I was ill. Classic. But nothing from Melissa. Not a single message. She always texts if I'm not home, even if it's just passive-aggressive. That was my first indication she was either furious or hadn't noticed, both of which are common for her lately. I won't pretend I was some genius mastermind. I just started doing what I would if I discovered someone was mocking me behind my back. First, I logged into our joint accounts, banking, grocery delivery, the ones where she uses my card by default, and changed the passwords. Nothing drastic, just standard clean break stuff. I wasn't going to fund her oat milk purchases or cover her fancy gym classes after what I'd read. I left her enough to get by. I'm not a monster, just not going to bankroll her while she insults me. Isabella called again, asking, "What happened? Melissa's acting strange. She's texting me non-stop. I just told her the party was off and that I'd explain later, but maybe tell people not to show up." I appreciated that she didn't push, but I could tell she was annoyed. Always the one caught in the middle. I began messaging the people invited to the party, informing them that plans had changed and not to come to the venue, apologizing for the short notice without giving a reason. I left Melissa's crew out of the loop on purpose. Aubrey, Mira, and the others who were hyping her up in that chat got nothing. I considered sending screenshots but decided that was too much too soon. Instead, I simply removed them from the calendar invite and group DM. If they wanted to drag me, they could do it without a free dinner or drinks on my dime. I did tell Isabella a bit more, explaining that I found something on Melissa's laptop and was unhappy with how things had been. She asked if we were breaking up, and I said I didn't know yet, but it wasn't looking good. I called the chef to cancel. He was furious, but I covered the kill fee. At least I didn't have to see his face when he learned about the drama. The venue was a mess, non-refundable deposit. But I transferred the booking to Melissa's name and told the event manager to contact her for final payment. I cancelled the spa day I'd booked for her and her friends, also non-refundable. But that refund is coming back to my card. I started going through our joint expenses and flagged all the ones meant for her or her friends. I didn't want to be petty, but I wasn't about to sit around getting insulted by her group chat while foot the bill for their brunches. Melissa still hadn't called or texted by that afternoon, so I assumed she was either out with friends or simply didn't care that I was gone. That changed around 6 p.m. when she called. I didn't answer. Then she texted, asking where I was, why I wasn't home, and if I could pick up wine on my way back, as if nothing was wrong. I left her, on read. When I returned home around 8 hour, she was in the kitchen on her phone and didn't look up. I set my bag down and she said, "What's your problem? You're acting strange." I replied, "The party's off. I'm done." She gazed at me as if I had spoken in another language, then got angry. She wanted to know why and if I told anyone. Was her family going to think it was her fault? I said, "It is her fault, actually." She tried to confront me, pushing my arm and accusing me of ruining her birthday. I told her I read the group chat. She just stared at me, then slapped me, not hard, but enough to make her point. I told her if she wanted to yell, she could do it somewhere else. She slammed the fridge door and stormed upstairs. I heard her on the phone, likely with Aubrey, as she kept saying my name and cursing. I texted Isabella, telling her what happened, and sent her a screenshot of the chat. Nothing too extreme, but enough. She replied, "Damn, okay, I'm on your side. Just say the word if you want me to deal with Mom and Dad." Honestly, Isabella has always been the only one in her family who sees Melissa for who she truly is. Later, Melissa came downstairs, trying to act as if she hadn't just slapped me, asking about logistics. Were we still having dinner with her parents? Could I at least make it look like it was her idea to cancel the party? I told her no. I wasn't covering for her or concocting some story to save face with her friends. She got angry again, attempting to take my phone. I blocked her with my arm and told her to back off. She tried to grab the keys from the counter and I moved them. She threw a kitchen towel at me and went back upstairs. The next day, I received a call from her mom asking if I was okay. Had I gotten food poisoning or something? I simply said plans had changed. Her dad texted me, advising not to stress. Apparently he'd seen Melissa blow up before. I understand now. She has always treated me like a backup option, the safe choice. And now that she's 40 and feeling trapped, it's easier to blame me than to take action. Half her friends are single or divorced. They all egg each other on. I think Melissa clings to her resentment because she fears being alone, and that's why she's so harsh about it, not even primarily about me. By late afternoon, Aubrey and Mira began texting me. Mira asked if the party was still happening, stating she hadn't received an update. I told her to check with Melissa. Aubrey sent a snarky message about me having a meltdown. I guess she didn't realize I'd seen the chat. I didn't respond, but took a screenshot of her message and sent it to Isabella. Melissa has been cold since then, barely speaking, mostly sulking or slamming doors. She tried to confront me again that night, pushing me away when I blocked her from grabbing my wallet. I told her I wouldn't fund her drinks with her friends while they talked about me. She claimed I was being dramatic, insisting that all couples vent. I told her there's a difference between venting and calling your husband pathetic and useless in front of everyone you know. She rolled her eyes and left, slamming her car door outside. The next morning, I spent more time sorting through our belongings, making lists of what belongs to me and what's hers, and determining what I wouldn't be willing to share. I called my parents to tell them a bit about the situation. They were somewhat taken aback, but not entirely surprised. They always mentioned Melissa was strong-willed. My brother suggested I should just move out, but I'm not giving up the house that easily, not after everything. Melissa returned home late that afternoon, smelling of gin and perfume. She walked past me straight to the bathroom and slammed the door. I heard her crying, but I didn't go after her. I'm done being her emotional punching bag. She's trying to gain sympathy from everyone, but no one is buying it, except Aubrey. And even she's going silent now that I'm not paying for anything. So yes, the party is cancelled, the chef is out, her friends are upset, Her family is asking questions, and I'm still here, not backing down. I'm not going to let her rewrite the narrative this time. If she wants to act like I'm the problem, she can do it without my assistance or my money. I'm unsure what will happen next, but I can assure you it won't be the birthday she believed she deserved. Update 2. Yesterday was chaotic, even for this entire situation. It began with Melissa being unusually quiet, not just giving me the silent treatment, but actually tiptoeing around the house, holding her phone so tightly I thought she might drop it in her coffee. I noticed her peeking at my laptop multiple times, as if she thought I had some secret plan, which is amusing because I stopped plotting days ago. By this point, I just wanted out. She only spoke to ask if I had seen her charger, which I hadn't, and inquired if I was going to the store. I responded, "Nope." Then the calls began, initially not to me, but to everyone else. I heard her in the bathroom on speaker, her voice shaky as she told Aubrey that her entire life was crumbling, that I'd cut her off and made her look foolish in front of everyone. Aubrey must have said something that irritated her because Melissa snapped back, claiming she didn't want to hear about healthy boundaries from someone who had never experienced a real relationship. She then slammed the bathroom door shut. After lunch, she tried to corner me in the kitchen, asking why I was doing this to her and why I couldn't just let it go and act normally. I told her I was finished carrying her drama and wouldn't pretend she was the victim. She shoved me, not hard, but enough to indicate she wanted a reaction. I didn't give her one. I just moved past her and returned to my emails. She called me a coward, then sent Isabella a rant about how I was making her homeless. Isabella replied, "Maybe try an apology." The real chaos began after that. My phone exploded with notifications, 15 missed calls from Melissa in just 3 hours, along with a slew of texts. The voicemails ranged from fake calm, "Griffin, please can we just talk? I'm sorry if you misunderstood," to angry, "You're ruining my life. I hope you're happy," to outright pleading, "I can't do this. Please just undo it, and I'll fix everything." She even sent a few voice notes, which I didn't listen to. I deleted them, not out of spite, but because I didn't need to hear more excuses. She attempted to get into my car as I was leaving for groceries, actually pulling the door handle, and then slapping the window when it didn't open. I told her to back off and give me space, and she started crying. I drove away, and when I returned, she was gone. 2 hours later, she came back with Isabella, who glared at me and shook her head, as if to say, "You know this is a mess, right?" I nodded, but said nothing. Later that night, Melissa tried one last time. She waited until I was nearly asleep on the couch, then came in and sat beside me. She looked worn out, likely because she hadn't slept in days, probably true. She asked if we could start over, if I would help her mend things with her family, pay the venue bill, and maybe talk to her friends, just be a team again. I told her I wouldn't fix what she broke, wouldn't pay for her mess, and wouldn't pretend to be the bad guy so she could save face. She started crying again and tried to grab my arm, but I pulled away. She slapped my shoulder and stormed upstairs, slamming the door. I texted Isabella, informing her I was leaving in the morning, and suggested she keep an eye on Melissa. Isabella replied, "I'll handle it. You do what you need to do." This morning, I packed my belongings. Nothing extravagant, just a few bags and my laptop. Melissa attempted to block the door, insisting I couldn't just leave and that I would regret it. I replied that I already regretted wasting so much time. She attempted to shove me, and I pushed back, telling her to move. She complied but kicked the wall on her way out. Now, I'm at Everett's, sleeping on that same lumpy futon. But honestly, I feel lighter. Melissa is still texting and calling, but I've blocked her. Isabella says Melissa is finally realizing she has burned every bridge, even with her parents. The venue sent her another bill, and Aubrey isn't answering her calls. Mira has ghosted her. No one is offering to pay the deposit or cover her credit card. Her mum called me to apologize again, saying, maybe it's time for Melissa to figure things out on her own. Chum, I've withdrawn all my funds from the joint accounts, changed every password, and moved bills to my name only. I'm not covering her spa trips, streaming services, or her endless oat lattes ever again. She wanted to embarrass me in front of her friends and tell everyone I was a loser who would never stand up for myself. Now she's alone with her mess and her bills, and I'm not cleaning it up. I won't lie, I don't feel bad. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. Some might say I went too far, or that I should have handled things differently. But after reading all that and being slapped for trying to do something kind, no, I did this for me. I'm not her emotional punching bag anymore. So that's it, I guess. My phone is finally quiet. I don't know what's next, but I know, for sure, I'm not going back. Not for her, not for her friends, not for anybody. She can call as much as she wants, but I'm done picking up. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. If you ever feel like someone is playing you for a fool, trust your instincts. I wish I had sooner.